you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Boy, she nails it perfectly. Aren't you glad after 15 years I gave up singing that line? No one wants to hear me sing that line. It's better when the Iron Lady does it. There you go, from the Bugs Bunny clips. Welcome to the big show, my family and friends. We certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, we bring you the smartest, brightest people who share with you the stories of the world and their journeys of life or lifetimes, depending upon which Hollywood star you talk to. And basically, stories are the owner's manual to life, as we always say here on the show. For 16 years, we've been bringing you the CEOs, the governors, the White House presidential advisors, the billionaires, the Pulitzer Prize winners, all of the most smartest people, the authors who write books, and can bring you the gelatized, concentrated version of their knowledge and dispense it to you within up to an hour on the Chris Voss Show, or what we like to call the Chris Voss Show Glow. So there you go. Thereby you get the most wonderful, most brilliant things, and you get it, 3 to 4 times a weekday, 15 to 20 times a week. So make sure you guys keep up. As always, I set this up to beg, plead, and be desperate with you to refer the show to your family, friends, or relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss. Subscribe to that big LinkedIn newsletter, the 130,000 LinkedIn group there, YouTube, Chris Voss on the TikTok, and Chris Voss Facebook. We had an amazing gentleman on the show with us today, and he's going to be talking to us about a variety of stuff that he's into, and he will be entertaining, or else. I don't know what that means. Sounds like a threat, doesn't it? He's an attorney, so I may have issues with that. Rob Sciglimpaglia is on the show with us. Did I get that right, Rob?
You got it. Yes.
There you go. What is that origin of that name?
Italian.
He's got I don't even know if that's an Italian thing. So we have Robert on the show with us today. He's going to be talking to us about his stuff, and he's done quite the adventure. If you're not entertained by his life, I don't know what to tell you. He has appeared on national television many times. He is best known as the dad on the 2012 Chevy Super Bowl commercial, Happy Grad. His very first adventure in the acting field was a show called American Experience, Hijacked, which aired nationally on PBS TV. It was narrated by Campbell Scott. Besides television, he's done many film projects in leading or supporting roles. He's produced 35 films and television projects and acted in several, including The Bathtub Chronicles, Within and Without, where he won several Best Actor awards, and films won hundreds of festival awards. He's currently involved in the production side for Sweeney Todd on Broadway. He's done on-camera or voiceovers for many recognizable brand names. Perhaps his most prominent voiceover project was the director for sessions for Bixby, the voice of Samsung Galaxy phones and products. Welcome to the show, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
There you go. So I can blame you for all that Bixby stuff going on my Samsung phone, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. You can blame me a little bit for it.
There you go. Samsung keeps pushing that. They try and force you to use it. I'm like, no. But
yeah, I mean, they're trying to get. They work with all the appliances and the TVs together.
Yeah,
with the phone, so that's why they try to. That's why they push it. So.
Get that thing. It's their own version of Siri, I think, isn't it?
Yes, it's like Siri, but it's expanded for everything that they manufacture uses Bixby. So
there you go. Give us your .coms. Where do you want people to find you out on the interwebs?
Best place to find me is ROBSCIG, RobSigESQ.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's my law site. My acting site is RobertPaglia.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find me on www.attyondemand.com.
There you go. So attorneyondemand.com, which is what we'll be talking a little bit about today. And then you also have a book that you put out called Voiceover Legal.
Yes.
And people can order that up on Amazon or wherever that's found. Give us the 30,000 version of what's inside that book there.
The voiceover legal, because I'm an attorney, and I started doing voiceover work many of my colleagues, my voiceover colleagues, would ask me legal questions.
Mhm.
So I kept getting the same questions over and over again. Should I form an LLC? What happened? Can I get sued? Should I get insurance? Those kind of things.
Mhm.
I started writing those questions down. And then the book is basically a chapter for each of those common questions.
Oh, really?
And I put it out, and I think it's like number 7 on the Amazon bestseller list for entertainment law right as we sit here. And it hit number 1 for a while. And it's the resource that a lot of voice talent use when they're trying to figure out the legal side of the voiceover business.
That's pretty good, because I imagine there's a lot of that going on where, you've got to figure it all out, and it's a business as opposed to just
Correct.
voiceover. So it's very interesting. And then your law site, Attorney on Demand, does that as well, I guess.
Yes, Attorney on Demand is a membership, so that if an actor, a voiceover artist, filmmaker, any business owner really, if they want an attorney on retainer, but they don't want to pay thousands of dollars, they go there, they pay a low monthly fee, I can answer their questions, as many as they have, as like 24/7, and they get a whole bunch of discounted and free services for being a member. So
there you go. Much cheaper than throwing down that giant upfront payment, that giant retainer.
Exactly.
When you need an attorney, I've seen that movie.
$1,000 a month. Yeah, exactly.
I've seen that movie. That's yeah. And so they can go on there. They can get the legal counsel that they need. They can find out how to protect their family and stuff, and all that good stuff. And it's fairly more inexpensive, because hiring an attorney, especially when you have to do court stuff, it's quite expensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And many times people don't know who to call, so that solves that problem right there. They can call me right away. I'm on retainer for them, and if we need to get another attorney involved because it's a specialized area, we can do that. It's just one less headache for people to have if in case something happens, they know who to consult. So
this is probably helpful a little bit during the recent writer strike and all the Hollywood strikes that were going on. I'm not even sure they've all been resolved, but it was probably helpful during that time.
Yep, the writers' strikes resolved, SAG strikes resolved. There was the hotel union strike, then it's getting resolved little by little out in California.
Yeah.
So
everyone's on strike. So there you go. Or they were on strike.
That says a lot about what's going on with our country right now. So
it's an interesting time. Basically the baby boomers retired earlier than they would have with COVID. A lot of Gen X did too as well. And what most people don't realize that we don't have enough employees.
Right. And we also wages have not kept up with inflation, unfortunately.
Yeah. And what are they
going to do?
And people are complaining about the prices, but they don't want immigrants to move into the country. So there you go, people. You're creating your own problem. The people don't realize. I mean, there are. I was reading. I think it was the New York Times, the Washington Post. For every 7 boomers that are retiring and Gen X that are retiring early because they saw COVID and went, "We're out, man. Fuck this." For every one of them is retiring right now. For every 7 of them. These are skilled journeymen. They have 40 years of knowledge under their belt. They're master tradesmen. They know their stuff, right? For every 7 of those that are retiring, there is one novice guy who's like a beginner who's taking their place. That's how offset things are right now, and it's going to be interesting. And if you don't think inflation's going to kick in and people are going to charge a lot of more prices, we're going to have the same in the medical field as well. So there you go. So it's going to be an interesting 4 years. People can utilize your service. They can access it there. They can see different plans and all that good stuff. Anything more we need to touch on there that you're doing at that place?
I'm a very much full service attorney. I'm sure we'll talk more about this, but not only do I do voiceover, I do them myself. I'm a voiceover artist and an actor, so I have that perspective. I do taxes, so that's another big reason why people that are in business like to consult with me, because taxes are always an issue, always an issue. So it's that's one of the things I like to do is be able to be a little diversified, so I can answer people's questions on the right and the left brain.
There you go. With taxes in Hollywood, it's kind of an issue because if you work in different states to film projects and stuff, right, you got to pay the taxes in those states, right?
Correct. Yeah. You have to. The way it works is you pay in the state you're in. So if you're, like I'm in the New York area. If I go out to LA and I do a job, I'd have to pay the LA tax, the California tax, but I get a credit on that. So I don't have to pay. It cuts a credit on my federal return and my state return here.
But I mean, you still have to fill out the paperwork, right?
You still have to do the paperwork.
Nightmare.
Or you just forget about it if it's not enough. Like I know people that just don't worry about filling out the paperwork and forego the whatever it would normally they'd get a refund, and they just it's not worth it. The $20 or whatever I'm going to get back.
$20 residual check that you got, yeah, whatever. But I know some actors, especially big actors, they work all over. There's the Georgia. There's the one gentleman, the famous actor. Produce all those films in cross-dressing, Mattia or whatever. What's his name? But I mean, he's made a lot of money. He's got like a huge Tyler Perry. There it is. Yeah. He's got a. Have you seen his house down in Georgia?
I have not, but I've seen the studio. So just imagine.
It's insane. It makes the Versailles, the Gardens of Versailles or whatever, look like, I don't know, Amateurville. It doesn't really, but
yeah. I mean, if you're making income in all 50 states, obviously that's where it gets complicated. You have to have your home state where you can credit all the taxes you're paying from the other states, but you got to do all the paperwork.
So what made you, I mean, you're kind of an interesting guy because you're into acting and, do movies and voiceover and stuff, but then you're also an attorney. Most people just ride one horse, but what got you into wanting to do both, I guess?
So I started out as an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
I went right from undergrad to law school, came out, started practicing law. But I was a DJ in college. I always did like technical side of things. Mm-hmm. The cameras, the mixing board, all that stuff for the plays and for the shows. And I was always too reserved, too much of an introvert to go in front of the camera and act, even though I liked it. So I was practicing about 10 years, doing well, but I just kind of felt like, there's got to be more to this. And I always wanted to act. So I took a class in adult ed for voiceover just to check it out. I didn't really even know what it was. I thought voiceovers was cartoons. That's what I thought it was. I didn't know how big voiceovers was. And I loved it. I fell in love with it. So then I took more classes. I started taking acting classes. I really got into it, and I realized how much harder acting is than law school was. It's hard. So it's hard to make an income. It's hard to learn. It's it's a completely different type of learning. So you're learning more about feelings, and you're not learning. And it's not logic.
Yeah, like the attorney business is real cerebral.
Exactly.
Logic.
Very much logical, yeah. So it's. I mean, there is some creative element to it, which is why I like it, because I do trial law as well, and that's you really, trying to think on your feet. That's where the acting really helps. So they do complement each other. There you go,
acting in front of the jury and the judge and stuff.
Exactly, and it does help you use both sides of the brain. So that's I like the balance. And people ask me, which you may ask me now, but people ask me like, what do I like better, and what do I want to do? And the answer I give is I'm doing right what I want to do right now. Yeah. If I did more acting, great. If I did more law, great. I don't want to do one thing. I want to do more things because I like the balance and I like the variety. I don't like being in the rut, and that's kind of where I felt I was when I started doing the voice. I felt I was in the daily rut. So,
I'm the same way. I like doing multiple things because then you tend to get those burnout and bored.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was starting to get to the burnout phase. So that motivated it too. I was like,
there you go.
So I've got to be more. There's more than just doing this for 60 hours, 80 hours a week. So,
there you go. Now there's a thing here. You sued TikTok.
I did.
Bev Standing. I'm not sure who that is because I'm not hip or cool. What was that about?
Yeah, so Beverly Standing is a voice actor in Canada.
Oh, okay.
And so the AI thing, artificial intelligence, I'm sure you've heard about it.
Yeah, I've heard that's been a big issue for...
So that's been around for a while. In fact, Bixby, when I recorded that was back in 2018, 2016, around that time. So that AI has been in development all this time. So Bev Standing had done a job back in 2018 time frame, and it was supposed to be for translation, Chinese translation. And in 2021, her daughter here's her mom's voice on TikTok as the text to speech voice. Remember the original text to speech voice? That was Bev Standing.
Oh, really?
So her daughter called, "Hey, why are you on TikTok? When did you do this job?" And Beverly's, I didn't do this job. So she traced it back to that job that she had done in 2018. So I sued on her behalf in the Southern District Federal Court in New York, and they ended up settling the case. Because I don't think it wasn't their intention to swipe her voice, but the files ended up getting circulated, and ended up in TikTok's hands, and that's kind of how it went down. But it was an experience, and I was glad we were able to prevail on that. And then Bev definitely was happy about it. But the only bad thing or the downside is that they took her voice off as a text speech, put someone else on. But they can use her if they want to in the future.
They just got to work a deal up, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of this is going to be going on in the future with AI. Basically the joke is with ChatGPT is they basically just scrape the internet, and then they're selling it back to you.
Right.
And I know there's some suits I'm sure you're familiar with where I think the Booker Authors Association are suing. And evidently some books and materials were used to train the device.
Yes, authors, and artists.
Wow.
Painters and photographers. There's class action suits going on, and so ChatGPT is what they call generative AI, which means that the computer creates its own artwork, our own writing, based on all the internet, everything that's on the internet. So. AI, basically the computers scour 20 billion files a second and come up with everything that's out there. And then, so say someone wants a picture of a dog. Type on ChatGPT, I want a picture of a dog. So the internet will go out there and they'll scour every picture of every dog out there and come back, and it'll create a unique looking dog combining all of the files that it found out there. So that's generative AI. And so what's going on with these lawsuits is what you said. The authors and the artists are claiming that their copyrights are being violated because they're being trained and being used to create new works. And so far, the judges are not buying that because they're saying there's no proof that their works were used, because you can't really, the work's not recognizable. You can't really look at it and say that's so and so's work. So until that happens, the suits or until Congress steps in, passes legislation, it's going to be tough to pursue these types of cases. On generative AI, and of course, if something's recognizable, Standing, her voice is recognizable, even though that was AI generated files. She's able to pursue because number one, she copyrighted her files, and number two, because of her likeness, they're using her likeness.
Yeah,
so that's the issue when it comes up and it doesn't. There's no likeness, or there's no copying directly of a painting or a book. How much of it has to be used before it's infringement, and how do you tell how much of it was used before you can make an infringement claim?
There you go. And I think sometimes you have in her case, this probably wouldn't apply, but because they were just ripping her off directly. But then there's also parody. Does parody cover AI? Because we're taking what they had and making it our own better.
So there's a couple of First Amendment protections from any copyright infringement. Parody is one of them. And if it's a documentary or news or learning, those are other exceptions. You could take somebody's book and bring it into a class and teach a class the writing in the book, and that's not an infringement because it's educational. Yeah.
Plus, they're not selling it. Technically, the college is making some money, I think.
Right. Yeah. It's not being used for commercial purpose. Yeah. Even if they're selling the book to the students, that's fine because it's educational. It's protected by the First Amendment.
Wow.
So
there you go.
Parody is the same thing. So if you're parodying or clearly making fun of an original work, then that's protected by the First Amendment.
There you go. The writer's strike and the actor strike that was going on, one of the big concerns is AI and likenesses being used. Somebody told me, I don't know if this is true, but back when it started with The Crow, when the lead actor of The Crow died, the Hollywood evidently started storing images of actors.
Yes.
And film and keeping like a file. They recently, I guess, did this with Harrison Ford on his recent movie where they were able to imprint old recorded video of him, and then they probably do some trick with the mouth or whatever. But evidently they have enough of it, him saying shit, where they can match it all up and it's indexed.
Yep.
And, we saw that with Carrie Fisher, of course. She appeared in several Star Wars movies post-mortem.
Yep, James Earl Jones, Val Kilmer. Yeah, there's a lot of...
Oh, Val Kilmer, back before he had, cancer and stuff,
A lot of...
But, I mean, the question is who gets paid for all this stuff, right?
And that's exactly what the strike was about, and the strike actually resolved part of that issue.
Yeah.
So what the resolution of the strike said, if you work a film, work a project, do a voice on a project, they can take your files, so they can take whatever you recorded for that project, and they can use it for that project without you getting paid additionally, right? But if they store your picture and they want to use it in the future, you have to give your consent, and they have to pay you. You have to bargain. So you could ask for whatever you want. It has to be bargained for. There's no scale on it.
There you go.
Except they said the minimum has to be, you have to get paid for 1 day of scale, but I'm sure people are going to want more than that. And then for generative AI, you don't need to get anyone's permission. So if they do a generative AI and there's no recognizable person, so if they take all the people that they have on file and come up with a new looking and sounding person, completely generated virtually, they don't have to get permission for that. And they don't need to pay anybody for that.
Wow.
And that's what the resolution was of the
Maybe
strike.
Hollywood just make like new actors based upon, I don't know.
That's the fear. Yeah.
You can take George Clooney and Brad Pitt and I don't know, a couple other good looking guys and ram them together and get the greatest hits.
Exactly. Yeah. Then you asked about consent, or you asked about permission, or who gets paid, or who they get permission from. So when they get the consent, you have to say specifically that you want your consent to live on after you pass.
Oh.
Or you don't want it, or it will. If you don't say, I don't want this, I want this to die with me, this consent, it will live on after you pass the consent. And if there is no consent, there was no consent given ever, then the family and the person and the actors pass, the family, the estate can give consent. But if the producer says that they look for the family, they couldn't find them, then the union can give consent.
Oh, really?
That's what they worked out in the deal. So
sounds like some unions got some power there.
yeah, exactly. The union, the ball's in motion a little bit. Like you said, they can come up with a whole bunch of new actors, and combining a bunch of visuals that they have, and they don't have to pay actors anymore.
Wow,
which would not be good, but I don't think we're not close to that.
Most people know I'm an assimilated character from Brad Pitt, George Clooney, and a few James Bond figures.
Nice.
So there you go. I'm all put together. The only problem is 55, but I don't know. It didn't turn out like they thought it would. It just went the opposite way. But
so you just outed yourself at your AI?
Pretty much, yeah. Every now and then you'll see me glitch, and gives you the hint. I'm part of the Matrix, actually. So Anderson. So I know that some of these things are there are kind of some more, I think, laws for this in place with dead actors, right? That have passed on. Anytime someone wants to use Marilyn Monroe's images or film, but this is very different because they're just making stuff with it now. They're not using old film.
Correct. Well, they're using so the way that it works, they still need, if they're going to do something from scratch, they still need actors.
Yeah.
So they'd get an actor to come in and do the motion capture. So they would, act out, like in animation, they would act everything out for the screen on a green screen. And then they would have an actor come in and do the lines.
Mhm.
And then what they do is they just take the skin, they just take the pictures of
Mhm.
whoever the actor is, Marilyn Monroe, and they take a little piece. They only need like a minute of her voice
Wow.
to make it sound decent. If they have more, they can make it sound perfect. And they
Mhm.
take that and they use that for her voice, and that's how the character looks like Marilyn Monroe.
Wow.
Because it's real, but real actors are they're still working.
You still have to keep real
They're
actors
just not
on.
seen. They're going to be Marilyn Monroe.
So, there you go. One of my friends, J.S. Gilbert, is ringing in. He says,
Oh,
"What's
nice.
up, Rob and Chris? Do you know J.S.?"
Oh, I know him very well. Yes, AJS, how's it going?
There you go. There you go. I was wondering why he was ringing in. I'm like, he never rings in on the thing, and we've been friends for years.
Oh, wow.
And then I realized he's a voiceover actor.
Yes,
He does voiceover.
he does.
Been doing that for a long time. In fact, I called him one time. I'm like, "Hey, what's the best mics I should buy?" And
He probably went, "What are you talking about?"
yeah,
I get this question all the time.
he has 500,000 mics in his basement or something, from what I understand. And
I'm sure he does.
Yeah, if anybody knows stuff. And then he used to do stand-up comedy in L.A.
I can see
So
that.
he has jokes about babysitting the kids there at the Comedy Store, as everyone had to do back in the day. And I think it was the Comedy Store, one of those. And then, of course, hanging out with the stuff. So great stuff there. What's the future that you see with AI, and what sort of impact it's going to have, and how you're preparing your attorney firm to kind of take on these future things, on attorney on demand stuff? What do you see maybe coming down the pike that you're anticipating?
Yeah, right now what's going on, there's a lot of theft going on. Anyone that's created character voices, those are being scraped and stolen left and right. People that create character voices, the fans go out there, they get samples of them, and then they'll do some kind of fan film or something, or whatever, and post it up on YouTube. So that's going on. So there's actually a website called UberDuck where you can go on there, and a voice actor could fill in the form, show where the character voice is being used illegally, and blacklist themselves so that people are put on notice, not to do this. But there's there's no enforcement mechanism really, except for whoever created that character originally can sue for infringement. But normally it's not the actor sometimes it's the actor, but most of the time it's not the actor that created the character. It's some kind of big company. Disney owns the character, so then they'd have to be the one that takes action. So it makes it tough if a character voice is associated with a particular actor, and someone swipes it, then it puts them in a very tough position in order to get that stopped. And that's why UberDuck came up, so that it was kind of a way to at least out the people, to say that my character voice is being used illegally, and I don't want to do AI. That's what the form says. I don't want to do AI. So that's why they're blacklisted. They blacklist themselves.
Okay. All right. I know that's a big thing. I mean, we get a lot of our videos still on YouTube, I imagine, and we have to do copyright claims, take down stuff, and all that crap. At one point, it was quite out of control. I don't think anybody copies the show, but they copy our review product stuff. We will review a lot of products, so they copy that. But I would imagine you can ask sites to take it down, or force them to take it down if you file a copyright infringement or.
Yeah, but technically it's supposed to be that's what I mean. If it was
it has to be the origin or the owner of the product.
But I mean, I think they're allowing actors also to put the takedown notices down.
Yeah.
But not all of them are. Some of them are like, no, you need the owner to make this claim. So,
that's kind of interesting, because I thought that with copyright, imagine if it's copyrighted like by Disney, they technically own the copyright.
Right.
Even, I mean, because I know if I appear in a picture, or my voice does, or something like that, and I haven't paid for it or compensated or any sort of contract, I can have that taken down because I'm part of the copyright. If I appear in the picture, likeness. Okay, yeah.
So using your likeness.
Is it the same for voiceover then? Yeah.
No, because if it was just you, if it was just me, like right here talking, yes. But if I'm creating a character, then it's not really my likeness. You're creating
the character.
So then, yes, you created it. So yes, you have some claim to it, but you're not the copyright owner. You might be. Maybe you created it and copyrighted it yourself, and that's fine. But you may have done it with a script that Disney wrote. So that Disney would be the one that owns that character owns that performance.
Yeah.
Basically owns everything. When the actors, but the actors associated with it, right? So that's where they're invested. So then that's why they want to try to get it taken down. But sometimes the sites won't let them. Sometimes they say that the owner has to make the claim.
Wow.
So,
it's crazy, man.
It's very crazy.
Yeah, lots of stealing and lots of ripping off. And I'm sure AI and, the deep fakes and all this stuff that's going on, they say this next election going to come up is going to have a lot of deep fakes hitting it.
Yes. And I know legislation is, I know that there's been a lot of talks about how to legislate this and how to pass laws about it. And that's one of the reasons why it's being paid attention to is because the politicians, I'm sure some of them already got deep faked, and that's like their greatest fear, that they're going to be deep faked saying something that
you might actually do something for a thing.
Exactly. They've been talking about it. It's been in committee for a while. I don't know how long, but for months.
It's gonna get out of hand. There's right now I see on TikTok, and I don't know what kind of scam it is, but it's some sort of thing that's selling some sort of Bitcoin or a Bitcoin variation of a money coin, I suppose you call it, and signing up for some service that houses Bitcoin. And they have all these people that they've done fake. What did I say it was? The fake
Bitcoin.
No, the fake voiceover facial thing. Deepfake. They've done deepfakes on like Warren Buffett, CNN, Hankers. There's a whole mess of them, and it's all over the place. And I'm like, how is TikTok letting this happen?
I saw one with Tiger Woods where he was saying,
you get this free coin if you sign up or something. Yeah,
you get a free set of clubs if you sign up.
Oh, really?
For $50 or whatever. But it was a deep fake. It was crazy. Yeah. It would look real too.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Warren Buffett was offering people if they sign up, they're like, we're giving away a free coin. You get a free coin if you come to this website and sign up. And I'm just like, yeah, put in your social security number and see how that works. Your birth date and whatever. But it's all over TikTok. And I'm just like, how is this? This is really abusive deepfakes. I mean, some are really good. Elon Musk seems to be one of the popular ones they like to deepfake, where he's, selling stuff or endorsing stuff. And the mouth thing is so bad. You're just like, dude, that's not even. Well,
some of them aren't. That's the problem. Like some of them are bad and you laugh, but some of them aren't. Some of them are pretty good. So, and I actually I got a call from a client today about that, about how TikTok has used one of his songs as one of the, like when you create the videos and make the song, they've been using his song, and he wrote to them and they took it down, but a whole bunch of other people had already copied the song, so it's still out there. And now they won't respond to him. He's written to 2 or 3 times. So TikTok, in my experience, they're not very quick to jump on the copyright infringement stuff.
That's interesting. It's interesting. So people just need to know about this stuff. So final thoughts as we go out on everything you do and how you do it, and plugging people to take a look at some of the services you're offering.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, as you can tell, I'm experienced with AI. That I do litigation, and then I create trademarks, or I do trademarks and copyright for people. I create LLCs, so really, I do taxes, anything business related, arts related. Give me a call, no problem, or just go online and go on my website. But I love the acting side too. So even if anyone has a question about how to get into acting or get into voiceovers, that's something that you can ask me about as well. And like I had said before, my websites are robscigesq.com, robsig.com. My acting site is robertpaglia.com, and www.attyondemand.com is for the membership program.
There you go. Thank you, Robert, for coming on the show. It's been a really interesting discussion on what the future of everything is going to hold. And it sounds like a lot of, with AI, it sounds like a lot of good work coming up for attorneys.
Oh, definitely.
Job security.
There's going to be a lot of litigation, I'm sure.
There you go. Thank you very much, Robert, for coming on the show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, and what's the other thing? Chris Voss, Facebook.com. The nice thing about being ugly and having radio face is no one ever copies my likeness. They do it on
Take your
Facebook.
voice, though. Your voice is your likeness, too. So.
I expose if you want. I don't know. Have fun with that. With a face for radio and a voice for print. That's what I stole that off of somebody. So sorry to Better Bachelor on YouTube. It's a great line. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.